Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Girl Take No Podcast. I am your host, Shaunie Sanders, and today we're going to be diving into a topic that's on the heart of every aspiring woman's journey, and that is collaboration over competition. Now, in a world that sometimes seems saturated, right, with messages that tell us about competition, we got to know who our competitors are, we got to analyze the data, we got to compete, it's easy to forget the power of collaboration. But as women striving for success in our relationships, in business, in careers, and also in personal growth, we must explore the incredible possibilities that unfold when we choose to work together versus rather working against one another. Whether you're an ambitious woman looking to leap into entrepreneurship, or either whether you're a woman who's in her career seeking to understand how the power of female unity can work, we really need to explore the lessons and the challenges faced as we come together to support, inspire, and amplify each other's voices. So listen, grab your favorite beverage, find a cozy spot, and get ready to be inspired by this episode as we choose to take note of the power of collaboration and discover how we can lift each other up higher rather than holding each other back. So let's go ahead and get into this new episode. Hey guys, so I wanted this episode to really just be a conversation around collaboration and a competition. And I got inspired to do this solo episode at that, because of some things that's been happening. And I think as women, we really need to, especially women in business, right? We really need to understand the power of collaborating with each other versus thinking that someone else is your competition. And that's not what it is. And I think when it comes to collaborating, I think as we begin our entrepreneur journey, we think that, it's too early to collaborate with someone. It's too early to make that request, but it's not. I think if we learn to have a mindset of collaboration right out the gate, then it can really set us up to win. But as you and I both know, when it comes to business, when it comes to launching a business, the first thing we do is that we're going to look at the market. We're going to look at who our competitors are. Big or small, right? Big or small, it doesn't matter. We're going to look at who they are because we want to see where they land in the market. How much of the market share do they have? And I think when we do those competitive analysis, when we start looking at other people, Instagram pages and TikToks and Facebook pages, and we begin to see their growth, right? Their audience and all the stuff they're doing, the products, how they're doing their thing. And then we begin to look at ourselves and feel like, hey, I'm nowhere near that. And then now in your mind, this person now has become your competition, and that's not what we need to do as women, especially as women in business, right? Women who are leaping into entrepreneurship, women who are current entrepreneurs. We need to understand, have a mindset of collaboration out the gate, right out the gate, because we do so much more when we're able to work with each other. And I'm not saying that, hey, I'm just starting this product business. I'm going to go collaborate with, some other big brand. No, I think we need to understand that we can start small with the small brands and begin to reach out. I'm the kind of person where I'm all for asking. And I know asking is such a hard thing for so many of us to do, because it was a hard thing for me to do. And sometimes it still is, right? I'm just going to be 100% transparent. Sometimes asking can still be a hard thing to do because we don't want to be disappointed. We don't want to get the no, right? The no is the main thing that bothers us. And then also we don't want someone to say, yes, I'm going to do it, and then turn around and say, oh, you know what? I actually can't do it, because then that disappoints us. And then it's like, okay, this is why I don't ask people for nothing. Then we begin to settle into that mindset that we have, that this is why I don't ask people for it. This is why I don't do this, because people don't support, people don't show up, people don't really want to extend that hand to actually help, to actually have a partnership. But we have to be able to get past our own shortcomings. because being afraid to ask for the things that we want is really a shortcoming. It's a blocker. And when we see other people in the space that we're trying to go into, and we see them dominating that space, or just maybe have just started and have come out of nowhere and able to grow and have customers already, and all their marketing looks great, and it's like, okay, what am I doing? How can I do that? And they're so much further ahead. And we begin to convince ourselves that even that what we're doing, this thing that we're trying to do, it's not going to work. All because we're thinking about competition. We're only thinking about competition. We're looking at them as competition. She's got a great business. She's been doing it for so long. God, I mean, is it even worth me doing? Because there's so many people doing it. There's so many women in this arena, in this market. Should I even do it? And the answer, if you ever ask me, the answer is going to always be hell yeah. Hell yeah, you should do it. There is enough room in every market for everybody to be successful. And the only reason why this woman is more successful than you is because she maybe just going at it a bit harder, or she just got an earlier start than you. But here comes where collaboration comes into play. If we learn to ask, if we just learn to ask a question and say, hey, are you interested in collaborating? Are you interested in making sure that it's a good collaboration, right? Because when you collaborate with someone, you want to make sure that it's beneficial for the both of you. You want to make sure that it's beneficial for your brand, that it matches your brand message, and that also it matches their brand message. Because the last thing you're going to want to do is ask someone for a collaboration. And let's say you're a food brand, right? And you're going to go ask a sneaker brand for a collaboration. And they're going to be looking at you like, how am I going to collaborate with you? Are you going to supply food for an event that we do? Like, what's that collaboration looks like? So you want to make sure that you do your research when it comes to what brands, what businesses are content creators that I enjoy, that I see are doing really well in my space, that I can actually collaborate with. Because when you're just starting your entrepreneur journey, you don't have customers already. And you're just building out your social platforms. You don't have an audience yet. And all that has to be built, right? It has to be built from the ground up, and you want to build organically. That's what we want to do. We don't want to have to, we might not even have the money to do paid ads. So paid ads is not even a strategy for us, right? Because a lot of times when we're starting out, our money is kind of tight. Our money's kind of funny. And, we're like, hey, I might not have the bandwidth to do paid ads, but I might be able to ask someone and maybe collaborate with another person to help grow my business, to expose me to the market, right? And I think that mindset that's the mindset we all need to have. Because for me, that is definitely the mindset that I have right now. I'm a small business owner, and I'm a content creator, and I'm a small content creator still, right? And because there are people who podcasts are bigger than mine. There's people who platforms are bigger than mine. And so in my mind, I'm like, I have to build an audience. I have to get listeners. I have to, get people to show up on my social platforms, get people to show up on my lives, right? Show up on my live support, because you want to have people to sell to. You want to have people to offer your offerings to. And I learned and I watched and I said, you know what? These women are not my competition. These women are actually collaborators, potential collaborators. I can actually collaborate with them some kind of way. And that's why I thought this was a really important discussion to have, because as women entrepreneurs, I want us to understand that collaboration is key to success. We must learn to collaborate with each other, and we must not look at each other as competition. This woman is not your competition. She can potentially be a collaborator. Now, I'm not saying everybody's going to be open to collaboration. And I think the main thing when it comes to is that we have to get past asking. So we're going to talk about the ask right now. Because I know a lot of you are listening and saying, girl, I'm not asking nobody for nothing. I don't ask people for nothing. I don't like asking people for nothing. Whatever I need to do, I'm going to do on my own. And that is the mindset, honestly, of most entrepreneurs. A lot of entrepreneurs that I interviewed said that in the beginning, they really thought that they had to do everything themselves. everything themselves. They didn't think about collaboration. They didn't think about having a team come in and help. They didn't think about any of that. All they thought about is that I have to do it all myself. And so now you're on this little island that you created, and you're like, I'm going to do all this by myself. I'm going to do the social media. I'm going to do the marketing. I'm going to do it all, which we can, because listen, that's who I am. I am you. Am I talking to you? I'm talking to myself, because I am you. I came out and said, you know what? I can do it all. I can do social media. I can do the podcast. I can create my products, my digital products. I can create some apparel. I can do it all. I can do everything myself. I'm not asking nobody for nothing. I'm not doing it. But also, it puts you, like I said, on this island by yourself. And then it stunts your growth when you don't open yourself up to collaboration, to help. And the first thing we need to get past is, how do we ask? What is, not only how do we ask, but what is that ask? And so I find the way for us to get past the feeling of like, oh God, I don't want to ask nobody for anything. You really have to push past that fear. You have to be brave. And I'm saying brave because that's really the only way I can describe it, is that you have to be brave and you have to step out and say, I'm gonna step out of my comfort zone of just, I'm strong, I can do it myself, I don't need nobody. And I'm gonna step into a space of, I actually want to collaborate with people because I want to grow. It's all about growth, right? And so I'm gonna collaborate with people because I want to grow. I want to move to the next level. I want to see my business take off. I see all these other women businesses taking off. I want to see my business take off. And so I'm not going to be afraid to ask people for answers, or to ask for collaboration, or just to ask, hey, you know what? I see how truly successful you are in this space, and this is a space that I'm interested in being on. Is it okay if I maybe ask you a few questions sometimes, and maybe you have any tips or strategies that I can use? You know, a lot of time people might tell you, oh, I have a free download, go get that. Oh, I have a course, go get that. And that's cool if that's who they are. But when you're starting out as an entrepreneur, a lot of times you don't have the money to invest in people courses, because sometimes people courses be, I don't know, thousands of dollars, right? And you're just like, I don't even have that kind of money. I'm just looking for somebody who's willing to share information. I'm looking for somebody who's willing to collaborate, where I can help you, you can help me, we can collaborate and come up with something together that can help both of us. And I want more of us to be willing to do collaborations. I want more women to be willing, either you're at a certain level in your business, or, you know, you're just getting started. I want more women to be able to see another woman who's in their space, who's willing to ask, and be willing to say, hey, you know what? I don't have this time to do one-on-one, right? I might not even do one-on-ones, and that's okay. But I can point you in the right direction. I can shoot you a tip here or there. You know, I do give tips on a lot of my content. I do give people tips and strategies. And don't get me wrong, I know when it comes to business, and I know when it comes to being successful at it, you get a lot of DMs. You get a lot of people commenting under your videos on YouTube, right? But it does matter, right? You can kind of funnel through those and know who's actually seriously wanting information. And so being able to ask someone to collaborate with you is not a hard thing to do. And I think this is the main thing with it too. You have to be prepared for people to say, I can't do it. You have to be prepared for people to say no. And that's the thing right there. That's the thing right there that gets us the most. And that's why we don't like to ask. As I said before, we don't like to ask because people are going to say no, or either they're going to say yes and they don't come through. That's why we don't like to ask. But we have to get past that. We have to be okay with the no, because if someone says no, I can't collaborate with you at this time, then it's just not the right time. I'm a firm believer that what's for me is for me and can't nobody take. Like, I'm a firm believer in that. And I believe that God makes no mistakes. If I was supposed to collaborate with that person, then it would have happened, right? But I wasn't supposed to. So that's why it didn't happen. And I think that's exactly how we have to look at it when we begin to step out of our comfort zone and begin to reach out to content creators, other podcasters, other women in business about collaborations, or about information, or about whatever it may be. Let me give you guys an example of collaboration and stepping out. So I'm an entrepreneur, of course. I have my Etsy store and I have digital products in there. Also, I have what I call wearable affirmations, right? Sweatshirts that have really cool affirmations on them that we're trying to speak into the universe because we want to put positive things out there because we want some great things to happen in our life. And so I realized that I'm not an Etsy expert, right? I'm not an Etsy expert. There are so many people that are. And I've been on this thing where I'm trying to learn everything that I can around Etsy, around SEO, around placement, photos, everything that you can possibly learn about, doing placement with Etsy, right? And so I found this content creator on YouTube. And I said, you know what? She gives such great information. She's such an amazing Etsy seller. She has all these different strategies I can use. So of course I went down the rabbit hole like we all do when we come into contact with someone, right, that has all this great information to share. We try to consume it as much as we can. And I saw one of her videos where she was talking about SEO in terms of like titles and how people search on Etsy, because Etsy is a huge search engine. And so I actually implemented a lot of her SEO strategies. And so I decided to say, you know what, I'm just going to reach out. I'm going to leave a comment actually under one of her videos and I'm going to see what happens. And I'm going to ask her like, hey, I know you have this course. Unfortunately, I'm not in a position where I can pay for a course because I'm not in that position where I can't invest that kind of money in a course right now. But I would love to be able to ask you maybe any tips or strategies that you can give me that you can recommend and I can implement. And you know what? Now, mind you, when I did this, I don't know if I really expected for her to respond, or maybe someone else in the group, someone else that was leaving comments, maybe they would have responded. But I was very surprised that when I came back the next day, she actually responded. And she said, wow, would really love to help you out. Just hit me up on Instagram so I can understand what your goals are. And I was completely shocked. I was like, now here's a woman who has thousands of people in her course that she teach. She has great information. She's a huge multi-million-dollar seller on Etsy. And this woman probably have so many people coming at her at one time. And so many comments were underneath this one video itself. I'm just like, she probably will never even see my comment. It's probably just going to funnel down, as people begin to leave more and more comments. But I said, you know what? I'm just going to ask the question. I'm just going to ask. I'm going to be brave. I'm going to step out and I'm just going to ask, because I don't know if she's going to say yes or no. So why not just ask? And so what I mean by we have to get past the fear and we have to be brave, that's what I mean. We have to be brave and just put ourselves out there and just ask the question, because we really don't know what type of response we're going to get. And now, believe it or not, I hit her up on Instagram, let her know who I was. And then she responded back, asking me, hey, what's your link to your store? Are you trying to start a store? Do you have a current store? So I sent her all my information. Right. And I don't expect her to respond to me right away. You know what I mean? I expect to, maybe she'll get back to me at some point, which I'm super grateful, number one, for her just being able to, because easily for her reaching out, right, for her responding, because she could have easily said, oh, you know what, if you really want the best information, please just take my course. I'm not in a position to take that course right now. A lot of us entrepreneurs first starting out, again, we're not in a position to invest so much money in certain things. Right? We have to be very strategic about where we put our money at. And right now I wasn't able to invest in that, but I'm like, I want to get the information. And she gives such good information in her videos. And so it just really dawned on me that it's like, we really have to understand that you have to be brave. You have to step out there. You have to be willing to even get the denial in order to still push past your fear of asking. And I'm glad I did, because now not only did I ask, but I made a connection. Because when we collaborate, we make connections. When we put ourselves out there to ask, we make connections. Now, is it something I can collaborate with her on? It might be, because you know what I can ask her? I can ask her to interview her for my podcast, which I'm actually going to do that. And we're going to talk about Etsy, right? Because Etsy store, being able to sell there, have a successful store on Etsy is a huge thing for female entrepreneurs. And so I think it'll be absolutely amazing to have her on the podcast. So that's how we can collaborate. I now have made a connection with her, and now we can collaborate because I can have her on my show, because she aligns with what my show mission is. Because she's all about helping women, moms, wives, whoever woman that is that want to have a successful store, she's all about helping women become successful with Etsy. And I think it's absolutely amazing. I think that's something that I can really work with. So now I'm like, wow, since she's helping me, I want to interview her for the podcast. I want to bring her on the podcast, have her talk about Etsy, really get to know her story and how she got started, really get the story behind the brand, because you guys know that's all this show is about. Really understand the story behind the brands and ask her to give tips and strategies and talk about her course, because some people can't afford the course and there are a lot of people in it. And I love the fact that she has so many different student testimonials on her channel. And that was a really good sign to say, you know what? I think she's a woman that knows exactly what she's talking about, because she knows about, I want to get sales, and that she's sales focused. And she has good experience with e-com. And so it'll be a great opportunity for me to interview her, which is exactly what I'm going to do. But I told this story because I just want, as women, I want us to understand that we have to step out. We have to step past ourselves and be willing to be denied, right? Are willing to be someone to say, hey, I can't do that right now. And you just have to be okay with that. But you have to move on to the next, right? You just have to move on to the next. It doesn't matter if they can't do it. Maybe the next person will. If they can't do it, then that means that's not the collaboration for you. That's not the connection for you. So you move on to the next person who can help you. And this woman, I felt like could have easily been like, no, it's too many people on Etsy shops. She might look at everybody's competition, but she's not. She's actually here to help you succeed on Etsy, because she's understand that there's enough room on this platform for everyone to be successful. I don't have to look at another woman as my competition. I'm collaborating with these women by giving them the information and helping them excel at selling in their store. And I think that's hands down exactly how we need to be as women. Women in business, women entrepreneurs. I think that's exactly how we need to be. We need to get out of that mindset of like, this person is my competition. And if they're my competition, then they're kind of like not my friend. They're more like my enemy. And I got to be able to watch them closely. And I got to see what they're doing. And I got to make sure that I outdo them. And that's not the mindset of a winner. The mindset of a winner never mind the business of other people. Never. The mindset of a winner looks at people as collaborators. I can actually collaborate with that person. I can partner with that person on something. That's what winners do. That's how successful people look at people as collaborators, people that I can collaborate with, partner with. And in the world of social media, world of content, right? We think about collaboration because we want to grow our platforms. Because the more people we have on our platforms, the more opportunities we have to sell, the more opportunities we have to get downloads on our podcast, the more opportunities we get eyes on whatever it is that we're doing, whatever offering that we have. And so being able to collaborate with other creators on these social platforms is a huge thing. And you don't want to look at another creator as competition. You want to look at them as collaboration. And now let me give you guys an example of how I'm collaborating on my social platforms. And so I created this thing called the Creators Corner. And the Creators Corners are my live podcast episodes. I do them only on Facebook, exclusively on Facebook. And it has become something that I really enjoy. I didn't know if I was going to enjoy doing live episodes, podcast episodes, but I realized, man, I really like this. It's really that real-time engagement and interaction that you get from an audience that really does put you on another level. You know what I mean? I enjoy it. If you're a podcasting listener, I really recommend it to anyone who wants to do podcasting. I recommend it to anyone who even has a business, is to build up the courage to go live. And so for partnerships with growing my audience on social platforms, I decided to say, hey, you know what? I want to start doing live podcast episodes. And I'm like, okay, who do I want to bring on these episodes? And then I want to call it the Creators Corner. So therefore, I want online creators. I want online content creators on this show specifically, because I want to talk about how to grow your platform, how to grow your audience on these platforms, how to monetize these platforms and use them to your benefit, to monetize your business, to help fund what it is you're trying to do in your business, because each of these platforms can be monetized and you can be able to have another source of income that can help you fund your business. And so I've been doing that. And it's so crazy that when I decided to do it, I knew the first thing is in my mindset is like, it's all about collaboration. It's about collaborating with these other content creators and having them come on and talk about their brand, talk about how they got started, talk about how it felt to hit that live button, right? To go live and nobody shows up. Nobody's there. And so in order for me to be able to do this podcast episodes, I had to reach out to creators who knew nothing about me. I had to push past my fears because like I said, I was that person too that's like, I'm not asking anybody for anything. I'm doing this all myself. I'm not asking for nothing. And so I had to push past that too. I had to say, you know what? I got to ask these people, are they willing to come on this platform? Are they willing to come on and give out this information for free? Right? And see how they feel about it. And now I sent out all these messages through DMs and emails, and I didn't get a lot of responses because that's the thing. Like I said, when you're trying to collaborate with people, trying to partner with people, you're going to have to know that some people are just not going to respond. And then I had some people respond and say, hey, you know, at this time, I'm really not doing interviews. And I had to be okay with that. And I was, because those who were on the show are the ones that are supposed to be on the show. And I just started, so I did 2 episodes. I'm working on some other content creators who have, who potentially can be on the podcast, the live episodes. But I knew I had to be okay with people saying, hey, you know what? I don't know if I want to do this, or either just not responding at all. I had to get past that and not look at that as a strike against me, but more so as, you know what, maybe they just don't have time. Maybe this is just not the partnership for me. This is not the collaboration for me. And that's how we have to look at things. So I want us to change our mindset around thinking that, oh, well, this person didn't respond, so, you know, they must have a problem with me, or this person didn't respond and maybe something is wrong. No, let's take that out of our mind. Let's shift our mindset. Let's shift our mindset into thinking that it's okay if people don't respond. The people who will respond, the people who will show up, the people who I will collaborate with are the exact people that God intended me to be a part of, to collaborate with, to partner with. That's what we know. And that's the mindset that we have to have when it comes to collaboration. And when it comes to not looking at everyone as competitors. Because as business people, like I said in the beginning, our mindset goes directly to who are my competitors in the market? Who are my competitors? Who are the big ones? Who are the small? Who are the medium ones? Who are the small ones? Who are the medium ones, right? Who are everybody in this space that I have to compete with in order to grab my piece of this market, right? My share of this market. When it comes to online, the market is so wide. There's so many opportunities that we don't have to think that all these people that we list as competitors are really going to stop you from having a successful business. But we can look at these people as a list of potential collaborators. We just can shift from competition, from competitors to collaborators. We are going to collaborate with these people at some point. And like I said, you may be just starting out and you may be small and you're like, oh, how am I even going to get their attention? Don't be surprised by just asking. Don't be surprised by the power of asking. And being able as women to lift each other up, right? To see each other win and to not tear each other down. And that's what you want as content creators as well. You want to be able to collaborate with other content creators and have a good experience with it and be able to support each other and lift each other up. That is the main thing you want. When there's someone around that's not really receptive to who you are as a content creator, as a businesswoman, who doesn't really gel well with you, because we're going to run into those people in business and in content creation and podcasting that just don't match well with our personality, right? Just don't match well with us. And you know what? And that's okay. That's really okay. They're just not the person for you to collaborate with. So I'm saying all this because I don't want, as women, as entrepreneurs, I don't want us to have a mindset of, I only have to look at my competition to make sure I one up them, to make sure I do better than them. When you can really look at your competition as a collaborator, you can do collaborations with them. You just now have to figure out, how do we collaborate with each other? How can I get their attention, their bigger platform? How can I be on their platform, and maybe being on their platform will grow my platform? That's the mindset that you have to have. There's so many creators. There's so many people, women entrepreneurs. There's so many people in podcasting that we can partner with, that we can collaborate with. We just have to be willing to do the work. We have to be willing to ask and not be afraid to ask and not be afraid of whatever the response is. And whatever that response is, we take it and we keep moving. We make the collaboration, or we keep moving and move forward and we go to the next person. That's really what this has to be. Because every other woman is not your competition. It's not your competition. And you don't want to have women in your circle or in your business or around you that feel like you are their competition, because they will never have your best interests at heart. And like I said before, it's really a mindset thing. We have to shift our mindsets and understand that we can come into this business, we can come into this landscape, we can come into this market, this this ecosystem, right? We can come into this ecosystem and collaborate and be in partnership with people, or we can come into this ecosystem and learn a lot from other people in our field, other people in our particular market. It doesn't necessarily have to be about collaboration. We can just learn from them. Just like I said, with this woman with Etsy, I looked at all her videos. I'm still watching her videos because I'm learning from her. It's an area where I lack a lot of knowledge in, and I'm like, hey, I really need to get better in this particular arena. And I'm okay with publicly saying, yeah, I lack knowledge when it comes to selling on Etsy, when it comes to really pushing out digital products, when it comes to really selling apparel. Yeah, I lack that type of knowledge, but I'm happy the fact that I found a creator that gives so much that information that I'm able to now take in that information, implement it, and see growth in my store. And then reach out to that person and have that person be receptive and be willing to share information. And so I want more of us to be willing to share information with other women, with other entrepreneurs, with other women in business, because it's not going to hurt us to share our knowledge, to give people insight, tips and strategies on how to be successful in their business. That is what my show is all about. I'm all about giving women strategies. I'm all about adding value to the people that listen to this show. That's what my main thing is. I want to make sure that I'm adding value to the people that are watching this show. I want to know that the people that I'm bringing on, the entrepreneurs that I'm interviewing for this show, are actually giving you something of value, that you're actually learning something from them. It could just be their story that resonates with you. It could be how they started their business. It could be the steps that they took, right? It could be the person who inspired them the most. It could be the best advice they've ever received from another woman. Like, whatever that is, I want to make sure that as viewers, as listeners, that you leave with something of value, because that's what my goal is. I want to make sure I'm able to feed and pour into you as you guys do to me, just by listening, just by watching. I have so many women in my life, so many entrepreneurs that I've known that pour into me, right? Every entrepreneur that I've had on this show, I've learned so much from. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for them sharing their knowledge and sharing the information that they have, and not being afraid to say, hey, you know what? You can do it too. It was hard for me. I was a single mom. I was a divorcee. With kids. It's whatever it is. And I was able to push through, and I still was able to be successful. So that's always what my goal of giving these episodes and doing these shows are all about. For the understand that we can really support each other by sharing our knowledge and our information, our expertise. And I'm not saying that all of us are going to do it all the time. Some people are going to charge you for it. Some people want to give it away for free. And I know sometimes people get inundated with emails and DMs and they just can't reach everyone. And that's okay too. And we have to be okay with that. But also there will be those people who will respond, who will reach out, who will partner with you, who will help you, get to the next level, who will point you in the right direction. And those are the people that we value. And those are the people that we are inspired by. And so as I end this episode, I just want to continuously say, as entrepreneurs, we have to understand the power of collaboration. Let's not look at each other as competition, but as collaborators and partners, people we can learn from. We'll go so much further when we change our mindset from this person is my competitor to this person actually is someone I collaborate. That's the best thing I think we can do. And that takes with us changing our mindset. Taking all the things we live in business, when we learn in business, where, hey, you got to do competitive analysis. We got to know who our competitors are. We got to understand what they're doing, see their pricing, we price lower. Taking all that we learned and shift it into, I'm looking at my competitors as my collaborators, and I'm seeing how they're dominating in the market. And I want to learn from them, and I want to know more about how they did it, what steps they took. That's how we need to be. That's the mindset that needs to shift. And that's the mindset that's get us to growth, opportunities, and success. So I really hope you guys have enjoyed this episode, as I know I always do when I do a solo episode. And I look forward to your comments. Please let me know if you have took some of my advice in terms of reaching out and collaborating. And I want to know, you can drop me DMs, you can send me, anything in my Instagram or Facebook, or drop it under this video on YouTube. And I really want to know if this episode inspired you to really consider and maybe take action in collaborating. Listen, I'm Shaunie Sanders. Thank you guys so much for listening, and I will see you next time.